Roxo Media House.
Hey, Frog fans, we are back with episode 9 of Talking Frogs. I am your host, Jamie Plunkett, here today, not in the Flying T studios at Roxo Media House, but in the comfort of my own home, because we've got a great guest that doesn't live in Fort Worth that we wanted to get on the show. His face is right next to me right now. Edric Dennis, former TCU point guard, TBT tournament champion with Blue Collar U. Edric, thank you so much for taking the time to join me on the podcast today.
Thank you for having me. I'm grateful to be here.
So we got to start with the obvious big news of you and Blue Collar U, the Buffalo Strong team, winning the TBT or the basketball tournament, not the TBT, that's redundant, but TBT, $1 million prize to the winning team. Talk me through what that experience was like playing for Blue Collar U and ultimately what it was like winning that championship.
It was amazing. My best friend that I grew up with since first grade is CJ Massenberg, that went to Buffalo, played at South Oak Cliff High School out in Dallas. As he went to Buffalo, I was always on FaceTime with him, seeing his teammates and always talking to his teammates, built relationship with them when he went to Buffalo. And so I've always had, a close relationship with the guys. And starting last year, they asked me to come play in the TBT with them, and just basically welcome me on to their brotherhood. And I ended up going, and, it was amazing. We made it to the Final Four last year. And then this year we made it all the way. It was so exciting. It was so exciting.
So there was a viral video of you at halftime, I believe, of one of the games in the tournament where you were giving a pretty impassioned speech to the guys in the locker room. Tell me a little bit about what was going through your head in that moment, and then obviously the resulting video.
So the first half of that game, we were really terrible. We were terrible. We weren't playing like ourselves. We were complaining about the refs. We weren't doing the right. Jamie Dixon was Jamie Dixon was in my head that game because we literally gave up so many strong side corner threes. And if you know Jamie Dixon does not play when it comes to the strong side corner. You do not help off the strong side corner when you play with Jamie Dixon. Mm-hmm. He will let you have it. So, those were some of the things I went over, and I just wanted us to, come out and play tougher. As you know, like my role on that team, because I'm obviously not playing anymore like these guys, but, my role on the team was kind of like a leader guy. I'm on the bench, not playing a lot of minutes, and, that's okay. And a lot of people can't take that backseat role, but I didn't mind it. I embraced it because, I'm a leader, a natural born leader, no matter if I'm getting 40 minutes or if I'm getting 2 minutes. So, at halftime, I was like, look, we got to pick this up. We're way better than this. We're playing for $1 million. Like, let's go. You got to challenge your team sometimes and hold people accountable. We came in the locker room. We were like, oh, it's okay. We good. We'll be fine. And I was like, no, like this is reality. We got to wake up. So that was it was amazing because the camera, I actually didn't even know that he was right there recording. So it was like so authentic. That's what made the whole moment so big time. So, and then we ended up coming out and playing hard, playing through fouls and beat the crowd. We beat them on their home floor and we won. And it was magical.
So you mentioned that you've had a lifelong relationship with one of the players there and that they kind of welcomed you in. Did that help kind of with that leadership aspect of your role on the team, knowing someone so well right out of the gate?
Yes. And also because like my personality, guys can just tell, like even in our training camp, we had a training camp before we played, and during training camp, I'm a guy that's big on the little things like talking and playing hard effort, coming together as a team, leading. Like I'm really big on that motivation. And so I got the respect of the guys really last year is when I got the respect of the guys. They're like, okay, he can hoop and he's sitting here like leading, he's talking, he's living what he's saying. He's living what he's preaching. So that was one of the main things.
And it seems like, in the course of your career too, going all the way back to transferring to TCU as a grad transfer, that's kind of been in your bag as a tool that you've had, is that ability to kind of come in, meet guys quickly, and kind of take on a leadership role pretty naturally right away.
Oh yeah, most definitely. So a lot of people struggle with that because of their personality, but like I say, I'm very outgoing. I'm very friendly. I know how to speak well to people. So like it's always been me getting in new situations. And you gotta think, I transferred a lot. So I was always comfortable, going into new situations and new spots and just being myself and that's the best thing that you can really do, honestly. Hmm.
I totally agree. Now, tell me a little bit about this too, because I read, I believe it was on ESPN after you guys won the championship, that every win that you guys had in the tournament was dedicated to the victims of the shooting that took place at the Buffalo supermarket. Is that right?
Correct, correct.
And so did that. What was that like, knowing that you were playing not only for a huge prize, but that you guys were kind of rallying around something to kind of maybe provide hope and bring some joy.
Well, there's an old saying that I was taught at a very young age, or asked at a very young age, was when I started playing basketball, was what's your why? And that was pretty much our why this year. We came together. It was very unfortunate what happened. It's definitely a problem in today's society. And but knowing that we were able to go out there and represent them on national television, I mean, that was major. That was awesome. Actually, the nephew of one of the victims actually reached out to me on Instagram after seeing my viral video
Mm-hmm.
and was like, "Thank you, for honoring him." And it's very deep and very emotional, very touching because you just never know how you're really impacting people by what you're doing. We always play basketball and it's like, okay, we're hooping, we're hooping, we're hooping. We've done it all our lives, but this just reminds you that it's a much bigger picture. It's a much bigger picture. And, that was amazing. Just communicating with him and seeing that he was paying attention. A lot of the families reached out and they were rooting for us. And the fact that we did it on national television, we ended up actually winning. It's awesome. It's awesome.
So when you're sitting there at the end of the final moments of that final game and the confetti starts to fall and the trophies coming out, like what's going on for you kind of emotionally in those moments?
Yeah, I really wanted to cry because it's like you. First of all, we got so close last year. We ended up losing. We had guys get hurt, so I really felt like we should have got last year as well. But so this year, I was. It was. It's like you have a goal set, right? And it's like you finally accomplished that goal, and you feel so good about yourself. You feel so good about the people that are around you. Like you're happy. It's just juices are flowing. Like I really can't even describe it. Words can't describe it. Like I mean, it's amazing. Everyone loves to win. Loving like you love to win. You want to win. Everyone wants to win, but the fact to actually experience that with the confetti coming down and it being on national television and just the crowd that was there, the people supporting, a lot of people from back home. TCU community is actually amazing because a lot of TCU people, fans, alumni, even current players, coaches, men's, women's side, all sports, like were reaching out to me and tuning in, supporting, and I love Frog Fam. Like that was awesome. Like I'm so grateful and very appreciative of everybody that reached out from TCU during that time.
So let's turn and let's talk about the season that you played at TCU, because it was the last season that we had before COVID, and that was the tournament that got impacted by COVID as well. But you came in, you earned your degree from UTA, came in a guard role for
Mhm.
the Frogs. What was that season like under Jamie Dixon and the rest of the staff?
Um, I had to adjust because if you look at my career, I've always been the guy, the go-to guy on the team, scoring all the buckets. A lot of plays were drawn up for me, which is cool, but that's when I really turned into a man and I grew up and I matured because I got there and I'm like, oh wow, Desmond Main shoots better than me. he can get buckets better than me. Like, you know, we had other options. We had great teammates like RJ Nembhard. I mean, he can play. Like, you know, so just the fact that, you know, I'm coming into a situation, you're transferring up to a higher level, and you're with guys that can really play. I mean, they can score. They were better at your role than you were at all your other schools. So my biggest thing I had to do was adjust and you know, okay, what can I do to help this team best? So it was more so of being a defensive role, being a leader, being very talkative, you know, making sure our team chemistry is good. And that's what pretty much prepared me for that TBT moment, because had I never went through that year, and I've always been the guy, and then I stepped into a predicament or situation where, you know, I gotta sit the bench because, you know, you got all these Buffalo guys who can play. You know, they went there, so I probably wouldn't have handled it well, and I wouldn't have fit in as good as I did. So it's just crazy that everything that you go through in life prepares you. And, you know, I really see how, you know, that year at TCU has really helped me, because it's helped, like, with the industry I'm in now, even talking to, like, you know, kids and players, you know, it helps me giving advice. And because, like, I lived it, I went through it. I was the guy at all my other schools. Then I went and transferred and played with a Desmond Bain where I had to take a backseat, and the RJ Nembhard and Kevin Samuel. Like, I had to take a backseat, you know, which is, it's okay. It's okay to. And, you know, that was one of the things where I noticed that a lot of players, they end up fighting that. Like, it's okay. Like, find out how to help your team win the best way you can. It might not be what you're used to, but it has to get done. Someone has to do it. And people notice it. Like, I have people tell me all the time, like, from the Fort Worth community, just like, man, you were awesome with your time here. You know, you're a great leader. We loved your defense. We loved your energy. You were always getting the guys pumped. Like, you know, videos of me doing all types of stuff and huddles and different stuff like that. So, I mean, I learned a lot, and I grew up, and it turned me to a man. And I just thank the whole Fort Worth community. I thank Jamie Dixon and the staff. I mean, they were awesome to me. I couldn't ask for a better staff. They were there for me when my mom was in the hospital, you know, like no other, actually, when they were recruiting me. So to come there. So that alone just speaks to what type of people they are. And, you know, like, once again, like I said earlier, it's bigger than basketball. So, man, I'm grateful. But yeah, it was a big year of adjusting, because I wanted to get buckets. I wanted to come down and just jack it up. But Jamie Dixon's like, no. And it's okay. It's okay. Mm-hmm.
Well, in your defense, like, Desmond Bain shoots a lot better than a lot of people.
Than
right?
a lot of
like,
people.
I mean, that guy has, now he's starting to take the league by storm, which is really, really cool to see. So now, if you think about this year's version of TCU, or I guess last year's version that made it almost so close to getting past one seed Arizona and getting to the Sweet 16 for the first time in school history, when you look at the fact that they are bringing every starter back, plus they're adding a kid like PJ Haggerty as a freshman, and they're getting a guy like Rondell Walker transferring from Oklahoma State. When you look at this year's version of TCU basketball, what's the ceiling for this squad?
I honestly think that this will be the best year of TCU basketball in history. I mean, it couldn't have worked out any better. Also, let me go ahead and say this on the podcast.
All right.
Mike Miles got fouled.
Yes, he did. Yes,
that
absolutely.
was crazy.
I mean, it wasn't even crazy. Like, it was 2 fouls in one, really, right? Because he impeded his path and he pushed him. So, I mean, yeah.
I was sick. I literally wanted to start crying after that game.
Yeah.
But yeah, that team, I mean, they're awesome. The guys keep in contact with me, check on me, you know, and, like, it's crazy because, like, it's rare that you find actually a team that are really a good group of people, human beings. Like, I mean, I've been on teams with guys that, you know, they're just not good humans. And that team right there, just the simple fact that they still check on me, you know, like, keep in contact and doing all the little things like that. Ed, when you coming back to town? You know, that's just major. That just shows what type of people they are. So they're tight knit. They're sticking together, and I'm excited. I'll be at more games this year for sure, and I'll be there supporting. Actually, I'm gonna get by there early September. I'm gonna get by there, catch some practices and different stuff like that. Come to some football games and, you know, come back and support. But I'm so excited for this team. I'm so excited.
It's going to be a good squad, that's for sure. And when you're back in town, you're going to have to come by and see the Flying T Studios as well. We'll have to get you in studio for another episode or something. Just follow up and see how things are going with you. But so tell me a little bit now about what has Edric Dennis been up to these last couple of years. I saw that you played professionally over in Cyprus for a little while there, but I see the shirt logo that you've got on right now, and this is part of another reason why I wanted to have you on the podcast. Is tell me what is Family First Sports Firm? Tell me a little bit about what's going on there.
So Family First Sports Firm is a full service agency based out of Houston, Texas. Our CEO is Chris Gaston, who represents De'Aaron Fox, which is a max player for the Sacramento Kings. Damian Dotson, who went to the Knicks. Eric Moreland, who won a championship in Toronto. So, we have a good group of guys. For them right now, my current role is player consultant and client services. I'm actually working on getting my NBA agent license. I'm studying for that. And I'm getting my WNBA license as well. But also we've stepped into the NIL space. And, I've been a big part of that. Right now in the NIL space, we have on the men's side, Keontae George, which will be a top pick. He's a projected top pick in this upcoming draft next year. He's going to Baylor. I hate that. I wish he was going to TCU. I hate to say that. He's going to Baylor. I hate to say it. But he's a good kid. And then we have Ashlyn Jackson, who's going to Duke. She's from Houston. She's a McDonald's All-American. We have Michaela Williams. She's number 1 in the country. She's committed to LSU. She's generational. She's awesome. She can get NIL right now in Louisiana in that state. So that's how we were able to sign her. And so now my focus right now has been actually, just growing that, focusing on those 3 and, getting my license, get my NBA license and, just keep continuing to build, recruit, get more players in that are high level. That's pretty much what I've been up to, man. And I'm also working on actually, representing college coaches as well as an agent. That's what's next also in my bag. So, just putting everything together and, doing everything. This company is awesome. They've been amazing to me. I'm always networking anyway. It was always around players, top players, men's and women's side. So the fact that, Christopher Gaston allowed me to come in and, be myself and attack the women's side, because it wasn't a women's side in the company, and he brought me along and, I was able to get, the number 1 player and then get Ashlyn, of course. And I'll dip into this draft and see who I like in this draft and try to sign some people on the WNBA side as well. And on the NBA side. So now it's just, studying, getting my license. And, I end up meeting with a lot of companies. I have to travel to make sure clients are okay, got what they need, make sure their family's okay, checking in with them. We like to give a family feel, and so, I talk to a lot of companies about our clients day in, day out, and I'm a basketball guy. So, also getting in the gym, with our clients is, also another big thing that we all provide, because I lived it. I played. So that's another big thing. But that's pretty much what I've been up to, man. I've been so focused and so locked in and just, taking off at this. I'm young. I was going to end up coming back to it anyway. And the kids I'm connected to right now, I said, why not, go ahead and capitalize and get on now rather than trying to go play for 10 years overseas and I come back and I don't know the 6th graders and 5th graders, 4th graders. I don't know those kids. So I just want to get out here while I was fresh with relationships with players and, especially on men's and women's side. A lot of them, I was in UTA. I grew up in Dallas UTA, and then I was at TCU as well. I went to school in the DFW twice. So that when I did that, I was able to stay connected as well to a lot of the top players. I mean, if you look, we just had 5 McDonald's All-Americans come out of Dallas alone this year. So, that's pretty much what I've been up to, man, just trying to keep that rolling. And that's one thing about TCU, the staff. I mean, they call me all the time, check up on me, and ask me how it's going. And, they're so excited for me taking this journey, man. And I'm young. I'm one of the youngest doing it. So that's what's so cool, because a lot of the companies that like I have to compete with for players are like 40, 50 years old, and I'm young. I'm still early 20s. So it's like, okay, that's a blessing itself, man. But I'm ready. I'm ready.
Look, as someone who's closer to 40 than his early 20s, I envy you for how young you are, man. And it seems like you've really got kind of the whole path laid out there right in front of you, which is just so awesome to hear. You mentioned NIL. And I always love hearing from former players about the NIL space now, because personally, I think it's long overdue that student athletes are getting compensation for the work that they put in and for the money that they make the universities and the coaches that they play for. But when now that you're kind of in that space on the other side of things, what has your experience been like with NIL, and kind of give me your opinion of it overall?
I think it's amazing that players can actually finally benefit off their worth. Like, I mean, that's major. That's awesome. People have been fighting for that for years. So I tell the players that are able to capitalize off it now, like, you're blessed. You're blessed because think about if a Desmond Bain could get NIL. I mean, it would have been through the roof. Like, so it's just like, it's awesome to see it. On my side, I have to talk to a lot of companies and fight for every penny to get deals for players. So that's a cool aspect of it. Like, the fact that I get to talk to like CEOs of companies and shoe brands, and I mean, that's awesome to me. Like, I love it. But I definitely feel like a lot of these schools and coaches have to adjust. A lot of people are like, man, NIL, like, it's so different. I'm not used to it. I'm scared. Like, but you have to adjust. I mean, it's just a part of it. I mean, I read today SMU is now giving 36,000 annually to football and basketball. Like, I mean, it's Texas Tech women's team is getting 25,000 annually. So it's like, I mean, that's major. Like, you know what I mean? That's major. I read up on that as well. So, like, you got to keep that in mind. Like, that you have to adjust with what it is. I mean, this NIL affects recruiting. I mean, a lot of players almost care about that more than the facilities and playing time. I mean, it's just the day and age that we're in. Like, it's different now, and but it's awesome though, and I love dealing with the NIL space, because it allows us to represent kids earlier, and not just when it's time for them to go pro. So I love it. I love it. I mean, and it's able to help change lives of kids and their families. Like, I mean, it's times where speaking personally, where I struggled and I could have used it, So it's funny because I always joke with Jamie Dixon, Tony Benford, Bruce R. When I see them, because I see them a lot because I'm always out looking for players and this, that, and the third. And I always tell them, I need my NIL back pay. I need my NIL back pay. Like, y'all let me hang, and I still need it. I need it. And they just always bust out laughing. So, it's just amazing. I'm happy for the guys. I'm so happy, and happy for everyone that can benefit off, not just the guys as well. Because I got a real good relationship with the women's team, a lot of the other sports at TCU as well. They're all great people. I'll tell you, the community at TCU is just awesome. They are all awesome. So I'm actually going to come back to TCU and meet with some people and some alumni, some boosters, and different things like that, and talk some NIL stuff as well. I want to help. I want to help TCU out too, as well, with some of my connections that I have, and that's what this is about. That's what it's about. So I can't wait to do that. I actually talked to Coach Peebley as well, Reagan Peebley. Shout out to her and the women's team. They hired Rodney Flip. That was a great hire, by the way. I mean, he's a great guy. He's a great recruiter. They just got two big time commitments, Victoria Flores and Jay Clack. I'm so excited for them. They're about to turn it around. And I'm excited for them. But yeah, so I'm definitely going to come meet with them and meet with everybody, and just help out.
It seems like TCU has this really kind of unique situation where it's a small enough university to where everybody kind of feels that connection with each other, feels like they kind of have that relationship with each other. Talking to some of the guys on the men's team this year, specifically Emmanuel Miller, he is similar to you, transferred in first
That's
year on
guy.
campus.
He played hard. That's
right.
my
Oh
guy.
Man, broke his nose in the final game. He's bleeding on the court. That's how hard he was playing. And But he mentioned that too, just that family style feel, that really kind of close connection that you've got with the whole kind of campus family. Do you feel like that is for TCU maybe a kind of unique selling point that they can talk to future recruits about?
Oh, for sure, most definitely. I mean, a lot of these other schools, like bigger campuses, a lot more people. Like it's just a lot going on. It's a lot going on. I mean, they're in the community in Fort Worth, right there in TCU. I mean, it's smaller, so everybody is right there. It's a family feel. Like you get a lot of love. You get a lot of love, and they just support you so much more because they feel like they have access to you, which they do. And so that part is major. I mean, everywhere you go in Fort Worth, even when I go back to Fort Worth now, I get so much love, and it's just like, man, I was only there for a year. And they still remember me and, she show me love. So it's like, that's major. That's a big selling point to recruits for sure.
All right, Edric, thank you so much for taking the time to come on Talking Frogs podcast, man. I really do appreciate it. And like I said, when you're in Fort Worth, got to get you by the studio, come see what we're doing over at Frogs Today. It's pretty cool.
Okay. Thank you so much for having me, man. You're awesome. Keep killing it. I've been keeping up. I'm definitely going to get by the studio, keep doing awesome things, and we'll talk soon for sure.
All right, man. I appreciate it, folks. That's Edric Dennis Jr., former TCU point guard, current TBT champion with Blue Collar U. You guys can follow him on Twitter at ed_the show or on Instagram at ed_the_shooter. Make sure you're on all of his socials. Make sure you're following Family First Sports on Twitter as well to keep up with everything that agency is doing in the college space as well as for the NBA and WNBA. Shout out again to Edric for coming on the show. And don't forget, you can follow me at Frog Preacher on Twitter. You can follow the show at Frogs Today on Twitter, on Instagram. Follow us on the Facebook page, and don't forget to subscribe to the website at frogstoday.com. Thank you, Edric, once again. And this is our time where we're just going to turn off the recording because I'm just talking for no reason. Go Frogs.
Go Frogs.
Roxo Media House.